Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ted from Brain Scratch Comms to discuss the news that Pokkén Tournament is being released worldwide in the spring of 2016. So let's get started. So Ted, that's basically it. We got a new trailer that came out from the Pokemon Company showing off Pokkén Tournament running on the Wii U, and even got an announcement for a new character, Pikachu Libre, which
is technically a new character, I suppose.
I guess he looks like he has a different set of moves. I think.
Sure. All right.
I mean, I remember back when this was first revealed and they showed off Pikachu, where like Pikachu Libre should totally be a costume. Well, it is, but I don't think we expected him to actually take up an extra slot, which, based on the fact that he has a completely different moveset, this is not just a costume change. This is a full-blown character.
Yeah. I'm not entirely surprised that they were going to do that because, one thing about having a Pokemon fighting game is that you don't really get to have as many of the cute Pokemon in there. Like, I would honestly be very surprised if we saw something like Jigglypuff or Clefairy or Eevee. I think, maybe one of the Eevee evolutions has a decent shot of getting a full roster spot, but like most of the super cute Pokemon, which are just as marketable as like the Charizards or the Blazikens, probably won't be able to get a slot other than Pikachu, who is the mascot. So I think it's pretty understandable that they would add an extra costume to get more Pikachu in the game if they could. So it makes sense to me. I mean, it's kind of a whatever choice for me personally. I'm just happy that the game has indeed been announced for the Wii U, because that's basically been the number one question on everybody's minds ever since the project was first revealed, I think.
I mean, I think everybody expected it just because as soon as people saw the controller, it's like, that's a Wii U controller, or at least a Pro controller, essentially. And, like, there's no way this is not coming to the Wii U. And lo and behold, that did end up happening a little bit later than we thought. But the thing is, when Pokkén launched in Japan, the character select menu was not full. I think there was still like 6 open slots. Now, one of those slots, of course, got taken up by Blaziken. Now another one's gotten taken up by Pikachu. And unless they expand that, there's only 4 slots left for Pokemon. New Pokemon to be added until its release. Which, I mean, it's for the first game in a fighter, that's not a bad lineup of fighters. But with so many characters in Pikachu, it's so hard not to want certain ones, especially more fighting Pokemon.
Well, everybody has a different favorite Pokemon, is the thing. So, no matter what, like, if you've got a roster of even, like, 50 Pokemon, that's an obnoxious roster. That's bigger than Smash Brothers. Even if you've got a roster that big, there's still like a good 600 Pokemon that aren't going to be in the game, and then you're going to have like a good, I'd say, 60% of people who are pissed off that their favorite Pokemon is not on the roster. So this is kind of a situation where you really can't make everyone happy unless if you have a roster of every Pokemon in the game, and that's just not possible, I don't think, if you wanted to keep some sense of variety at the very least. So I do think that, especially if it's coming to consoles, I think that it's very likely that we'll see the roster grow as time goes on, because DLC is a thing, and considering how many choices that they could have added later as DLC, like, I could easily see the roster growing even after launch. So yeah, it's just nice to see it on the Wii U, because again, I think everybody was expecting it to be on the Wii U. It was just a matter of when, and you know what? I think early next year makes an awful lot of sense, because we don't have an awful lot of announced games for next year other than Zelda Wii U, maybe. So it does fill a hole on the release schedule. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's, for me at least, it felt so good to just see this game running in high quality footage, to see all the details running, because I've watched, I've covered this game since it's been announced, and it's always on Japan's Nico Nico Video, and the quality of that video player is terrible. It's so God. Blurry, and you can't make out the details. So you just have this low, this game looks good, but there's so much low quality footage that you just don't know how good it looks. And to see it running nice and clear on the Wii U, it's like, okay, yes, this game looks great. I cannot wait to actually play it. Have you heard anything about the how it plays? I actually did read an import report. Yeah.
I have not really. Does it control like Tekken, or is it? I do know that the gameplay is very different from standard Tekken, because they've got a 2D mode and a 3D mode and whatnot. Just how does it play, I guess, because I don't really know the specifics of the control and whatnot.
I mean, it's kind of like Tekken, but it's not like Tekken, because you have that full 3D movement. Then you can get locked into 2D. But the way I've heard it described is that it's a very simple game. It's not complex. The moves are all pretty easy to put into, so it's sort of like Smash Brothers in that way. But the complexity comes from how you handle those simple controls and get in close, or what you do with them, I can't remember how exactly it was described, but very simple to pick up, seemingly simple controls, but I guess there is some complexity there. But it is overall pretty simple fighter.
That's not too surprising either, because it's based on Pokemon, so obviously they're going to at least attempt to skew to a younger audience. I know that there's that meme of the Call of Duty and Call of Duty intended audience, young adults, Pokemon intended audience, children, Call of Duty actual adult audience, children, Pokemon actual audience, young adults. I know that that's a thing, and it is true, but Pokemon still does gear towards younger children, and because of that, they don't want to make their fighting game way too complicated for people to pick up, because that's a big stereotype about fighting games, is that they can be kind of not very user friendly an awful lot of the time. So I'm not too surprised that it's got an easy to learn, hard to master kind of thing going for it.
Yeah, which makes sense. I guess the other big thing with the takeaway from this, just in general, is the fact that it is coming to Wii U. So many people have this thought process going in their head right now that, okay, after, I guess, the last game that released this year is Xenoblade Chronicles X, there's not really much else for the Wii U, at least that we know of. So is everything just getting pushed to the NX? So this indicates that there's at least still a little bit of life in the Wii U, even though we have no idea what the NX is. Because everybody's expecting Zelda to just get pushed to the NX, or do a Twilight Princess things where it's released for the Wii U and the NX. It's hard to say. It's very uncertain right now with Nintendo. But I could also see them releasing it for the Wii U, but then also having an upgraded version for the NX.
Super Pokkén Tournament.
Exactly.
Super Pokkén Tournament Turbo.
Yep. Which gives them excuse to up the graphics, put all the DLC in, add characters, and just really make a sale and have it there for launch of NX.
Yeah. I do think we are due for a Nintendo Direct. I'd say maybe not in August, but probably by the end of September we're due for a Nintendo Direct. So we might get some new games announced, probably something a little bit smaller scale. But it is nice to know that at least spring of next year, there's at least one major game coming to the system. So, after we're done with Xenoblade and SMT Cross Fire Emblem, Yoshi, Super Mario Maker, people, for a console that's supposedly dead, there is a lot of really cool looking software coming out on it.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking holiday season for the Wii U. I mean, none of these are huge games, but they're all games that will meet a certain audience and keep people playing their Wii U. They're just not going to sell systems.
Yeah. So, I think that, it is a sign that, the spring isn't going to be completely barren for the system, which I'm looking forward to.
Really, I'm not sure if there's anything else to talk about when it comes to Pokkén Tournament, because, well, we know most of it. We now know it's coming to the US and, worldwide. I hope they nail the online, because that's going to be essential for this game.
You know what? Nintendo has had a shaky history with online, and to some extent, like every time they take a step forward, they take a step back as well. But at the very least, when it comes to connection issues, I think we're long past the days of Smash Brothers Brawl. Because Splatoon usually runs great. Smash Brothers, depending on your friend's internet connection, usually runs pretty well. I think that at the very least the game will run smoothly. Whether or not like the interface is something like that's worth talking about, that's to be determined, obviously. But I have a pretty good feeling that the game will at least like run at more than 10 frames per second online. So that's the most important thing.
And this is Namco. They are pretty. They have a pretty decent history of making the online work, and they know what they're doing with that whole thing. It's it should be pretty smartly designed, is what I'm expecting. I think it's just I'm really glad this game got announced for the U.S. It really needed to come out. There was a lot of interest for it, and it would have been a huge missed opportunity if they just kept it in arcades.
I don't think that was ever part of the plan. It's just Nintendo always has to be stupidly secretive about everything that they do. So yeah. Real quick, I do want to mention something about this game. I saw it on Twitter. Somebody asking me about this, and I figured, I might as well answer the question here. Does this game have types affecting each other? No, it does not. No.
No. The typing does not.
But Charizard could never be Suicune because he's a fire type, and then Suicune would use Surf, and then he'd die.
Quite literally, put out that flame.
Oh, dude, too soon. But okay, that makes sense, because that would put a tier list like completely into chaos if they introduced type effectiveness for this kind of thing. So I'm not too surprised, but it does kind of feel like a missed opportunity in some ways as well.
A little bit. It'd be cool if they had a mode that actually took that into account.
Well.
Because a lot of times arcades, when they come to the consoles, they add extra modes or a story or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be actually, you know what? I thought we were almost done. What extra modes would you like to see in the console version?
Well, going off the idea of like type effectiveness, I think that would actually work best if it were kind of like a Tekken Tag or Marvel vs. Capcom kind of setup, where you could have multiple Pokemon in a team, like even like 2 or 3 Pokemon on a team, because obviously if there were type effectiveness in Pokkén Tournament, if somebody chooses Charizard and the other person chooses Suicune, the Charizard player's pretty much done. Mm-hmm. But like I think if you had a team where you had like say Charizard and Pikachu against Suicune and I don't know, Machamp maybe. Again, off the top of my head,
we don't have any ground type Pokemon, so yeah.
Yeah, it would be an awful lot more fair that way, because again, it would be strategic. Again, this isn't what the game's going for. Other than that, I think we're gonna get our traditional like arcade mode. I hope that the endings are just as nuts as they are in other Tekken games, because recently I've started playing Tekken Tournament, and some of the ending videos are just absolutely insane. Other than that, decent online modes, hopefully a good tutorial, because again, I've been playing Tekken Tournament 2 on Wii U, and the tutorial mode is absolute garbage. So man, I'm not too creative. I can't think of anything too interesting other than that. What about you?
I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I'm trying to think of like other type of fighters. Like usually I'm sure there'll be a practice type mode. There'll be story mode, online, offline, multiplayer. I'd like to see like that weakness mode where each weakness does take into account, and you have like different counters and stuff like that based on around that Pokemon. Just have like each Pokemon has its own counter, but it's also strong against this other Pokemon. I think that'd be really cool, and be interesting to see how people would adapt to that. Otherwise, what other type of mode? I'm not sure. Maybe some sort of collection aspect. Maybe you can collect some thing, since that is a core part
Amiibo
of Pokemon.
Mode?
Yeah, the Amiibo mode. Oh god.
Lucario and Pikachu do have Amiibos, so
that's true. So I guess that there could be Maybe that unlocks costumes or something else.
I'm not sure. Like, honestly, if I were Nintendo, I would take this opportunity to start making Pokemon Amiibo, because I do believe that they have, like, somebody did the hexadecimal stuff, like, in the coding of the Amiibo and the security numbers on the bottom of them. And there is enough space, basically, long story short, there's enough space in the Amiibo's data for, like, all the different kind of names it could hold for all 700 Pokemon. So, yeah, so they could start there, like make a Pokkén Tournament Pikachu and make like a Pokkén Tournament line. I would do that if I were Nintendo, because that's free money. So
yeah, and we've already seen that with those banner cards in Japan with the arcades, you can scan those and you keep all your progress as you it doesn't matter which arcade you go to. You just scan that card and all your data's up there, and you can just sort of keep progressing. So having something like that for your Amiibos when you're going over to friends would be great.
Yeah, so you have, like, your Pikachu is on your Pikachu Amiibo or something like that. And I think that'd be really cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a Pikachu Libre costume. Oh, my gosh, that would...
that would be great.
That would sell so well. And who wouldn't want Gengar or Suicune or Blake? Yeah, there's a lot of like Pokemon. Like some of them already have.
Dude, my wallet, dude.
I want to destroy it. But anyway, I think that does cover it with all the extra modes, Amiibo compatibility. There's a lot of possibilities with this game, and I really am looking forward to seeing what they pull off with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Alright guys, well I think that covers it for our Pokkén Tournament discussion. So thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Ted, where can they find you at?
So, I'm a member of Brain Scratch Comics. We do a number of video game commentaries on all sorts of different stuff. We've done Pokemon in the past, so if you're interested in that, give us a check. Check us out.
Alright, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming too. Until next time guys, bye.